Okay, so our next assignment is partly inspired by one of our assignments this week. You're reading poetry by Molly Spotted Elk. And one of my favorite podcasts is called Stuff You Missed in History Class. And one of the podcasts, they've been around for a long time. One of the podcast episodes a while back featured Molly Spotted Elk, or Mary Alice Nelson, her real name, who is our featured author in Dawnland Voices this week. So it was a great episode, and this inspired me to think a little bit more about how can I break up some of our other assignments for this semester. So one thing we're going to be working on is a podcast, and you're going to do it with a partner or a small group, and it's going to be ongoing through the end of the semester. I know you've all probably heard of podcasts before. If you don't listen to podcasts very often or even at all, it's totally fine. The term podcasting actually came from Apple's iPod, if you remember those back in the day, and the word broadcast. So basically, podcast gives you audio content over the internet, usually to, iPods back in the day when we had them, or other portable devices. Now, everything, of course, is on apps. So you have a podcast app on your phone. You can use it through Spotify. You can use it through Apple. You can use it through other streaming services. And basically, you use software that lets you listen on your laptop, PC, your phones, your iPads, whatever. You can take them with you at your convenience. They're typically saved in MP3 format, so you can listen to them anywhere you go. And basically, a lot of people who have a podcast have regular updates so that, those who are publishing it creates what we call really simple syndication, or an RSS feed. And that kind of generates content frequently. So they reference that. You can think of podcasting as like radio on demand. I think that's a great way, where the content is sometimes described as being pulled to the subscriber. Most podcasts are free. Sometimes they have buy-up services that you can subscribe to, but a lot of them are free and they vary in length. Some are really short. Some podcasts I subscribe to are like 10-minute episodes. Some are super, super long. Like you could get really cool involved in some very cool history podcasts. I was listening to this History of Rome one where some of the episodes were like 3 hours long. So the beauty is you can listen in chunks, you can listen in parts, you can stop, you can pause, you can do whatever you need to do with podcasts in that type of way too. They're a great way to commute with. They're a great way to listen to something past time when you're folding laundry, when you're doing something that you can kind of have on in the background and generate really cool information. So there's a couple steps that go into putting a podcast out. Basically, individuals or publishers or groups, you create and record your content through audio, you post it to a web server, and typically that's an MP3 format. Like I said, it could just be an MP3 file that you share. Some people are saving it to Spotify, some people are saving it to Anchor, which is another service. For our purposes, we're not getting super fancy, so MP3 format is totally fine. What these people then do is they publish this RSS file, and that contains a reference to the content. So this is the other thing too. It's great to have all this really cool content that you're talking about in there, but just like when we write papers and just like when we research, we want to make sure we're also including reference pages. We're also including citations, because what sometimes podcasts will call them are show notes. And basically you want these notes so that if you're recording an episode on Molly Spotted Elk and somebody was really interested in going back and reading her work, they had these avenues to do that. And also you inform the listener where you get all of your content information from as well, outside of your own personal opinion. The other cool thing is users can go back in, you can regularly check the feeds for new versions or updates. So some podcasts come out every single week, sometimes they even come out bi-weekly, some come out every other, every other week, a couple times a month. It really depends how they have their format. And you can listen at your convenience. So basically, the content can be anything conveyed by audio or video file, and our goal for the class is to share and expand your knowledge of our authors and texts, and really just be hopeful in creating more conversation around the materials, especially for a lot of these authors that really normally will never get that. So what we're doing for this Each group is responsible for recording a minimum of 3 podcast episodes from now through the end of the semester. You can create more, and I'm more than happy to give extra credit if you want to do that. Each podcast episode must be at least 12 minutes, but you are encouraged to record more, especially if your topic calls for it. There is no time limit on it. You'll want to follow the schedule below for when your episodes are due. And 12 minutes is not that much when you're doing it with someone else, especially. Any extra episodes you want to do can be submitted on your own schedule through the semester until the end. No matter what you're doing, your topics should be focused. They can revolve around authors, themes, quotes, summaries. They can focus on an author that we were looking at, but maybe didn't get to look at other poems or text or stories. So it need not be a broad thing. It should be something a little bit more specific. Everyone should speak for equal amounts of time and engage in conversation together. You can work in pairs or small groups, and by small groups I mean no more than 3 people in a group. And then I would expect surely everyone to be talking and equally putting in the same amount of work. That makes it a little bit more interactive and fun. You're allowed to pick your groups or your partners. If you have difficulty with that or want suggestions, let me know. But I leave that all up to you to kind of like reach out to each other and do that, because I think it's way more fun than me just saying that too. You can record your podcast on any device that allows you to record and send audio files. Anchor's great. QuickTime is easy. GarageBand if you have Apple. Screencast-O-Matic is good. YouTube. Or you can just send an MP3 file. Easy enough. Submit them to Canvas. Each group only has to submit once. Like I said, your topics you pick. Anything fair game covering for the class. Think about what's interested you the most. Never go into recording a podcast without some sort of outline, even if it's just some talking points that you want to cover, and you're obviously going to want to provide your references. If you're collaborating with your peers, you want to brainstorm some ideas together. If you really, really don't want to work with anyone, that's totally fine, but it is a little bit more fun to kind of do them together. But the whole point is to plan them out as well, so you can make sure that you have some notes and points of interest written down. In terms of our due dates, let me know, your partner and group assignments by the end of this week, and then we'll schedule a brief meeting to get everybody on the same page. And then these are when we'll have your podcast episodes due. Like I said, any that you want to do extra is totally great. You can submit them, and there's unlimited amount you can do. Sometimes it's much more fun just to kind of get going, especially if you're working with someone else and you get caught up on a topic, and then you just want to keep your conversation moving, which is awesome. There's no video with these. It's just audio recordings. You can think of a catchy name for your episodes. You can think of a catchy name if you want to title it with your partners for your podcast. That would be awesome. And if not, that's totally fine too. You don't have to have that. But I'm hoping you listen to these. I'm hoping you have some questions. This I think could be really fun and interactive, something that you can do with each other, and that doesn't only have to be on your own kind of space too.